The next morning, Princess Lila was gone. Her room was empty, the shard of the mirror missing. No one knows where she went, but I think I do. She went back to the forest, back to whatever was waiting for her there. And sometimes, when the wind blows just right, I hear her humming. The kingdom grew quieter after Princess Lila disappeared. People didn't talk about her openly, but everyone felt the weight of it. The air seemed colder, the days shorter. In the forest, always a source of life and resources, became a place no one dared to enter. The animals that survived stopped grazing near its edges. Even the birds wouldn't fly over it. Sometimes villagers claimed they saw a figure standing deep in the trees, watching, always too far to make out, but close enough to leave a chill in their bones. The king ordered the forest off limits, posting guards along the main paths. But it didn't help. Things kept happening. Strange things. A hunter ventured too close one morning and didn't return. They found his horse at the edge of the woods, its reins snapped and its eyes wide with terror. The hunter's body was never found, but his knife was discovered a week later, rusted and blackened, as if it had been buried for decades. Then there was the night the queen woke up screaming. She swore she heard Lila's voice in her room, calling out to her. The guards searched every inch of the castle, but there was no sign of her. The king, who had grown quieter and more withdrawn, made a final decree. The forest would be burned. It happened on a clear autumn morning. Soldiers lined the edges of the woods with torches, their faces pale but determined. They waited for the signal, and when it came, the flames roared to life. For a moment it seemed like it was working. The fire spread quickly, climbing the dry branches and licking at the undergrowth. But then the wind shifted, and with it came the humming. Low and deep, it echoed out of the forest like a living thing. The flames faltered, shrinking back, and the smoke turned black as night. The soldiers froze, their torches flickering, and then they saw her. Princess Lila stepped out of the trees, her gown tattered and her hair wild. But it wasn't her anymore. Her eyes were black pits, and her skin was pale, almost gray. The humming grew louder as she raised her hand, and the flames died out completely. "No more," she said, her voice layered with something ancient and powerful. "This is not your land to take." The ground beneath her feet cracked, and roots burst through the soil, twisting and writhing like snakes. The soldiers ran, dropping their torches as the forest seemed to come alive, swallowing the fire and the edges of the village in shadow. By the time the sun set, the forest had grown thicker, its trees taller and more tangled than before. The edges of it crept closer to the castle walls, and no one dared to go near it again. The king fell ill not long after, his body frail and his mind lost to grief. When he passed, the queen left the castle, saying she could no longer live in a place haunted by memories. And me? I stayed. I had nowhere else to go. Sometimes late at night, I walk the edge of the forest, even though I know I shouldn't. I don't know why I do it. Maybe I'm hoping to see her again, or maybe I just want to know the truth. But all I ever find is the humming. It drifts out of the trees like a warning, soft and sad and endless. And every time I wonder if she's still in there, waiting for someone to come back, or if the forest is her now.